So, you want to play Tiphereth. Well, do you like magical girls? Do you like cannon fodder? Do you like being sassy? Do you like saying Exodia obliterate? And do you have the expectation for the meaning of existence? Then Tiphereth, the patron librarian of natural sciences, is for you. Starting off with Tiphereth's first abnormality, and the one that gives people panic attacks, the Queen of Hatred. She specializes in recovery, damage, and improving oneself after constant defeat. When she appears, justice is to follow. A tier 1 positive abnormality page with a neutral rate. The enemy who dealt the most damage to allies on the previous scene will be marked as a villain. The user deals 3 to 5 damage when attacking said villain. Tiphereth's damage and one of her boss killer pages. Cause after all, who doesn't like dealing more damage? The enemy will be marked as soon as the abnormality page is taken. However, if nobody took damage last turn, it will not mark. To remedy that, an ally on your team needs to take damage. It can either come from enemy's combat pages or status, making it the ideal use for single target bosses like Xiao, who are very threatening. Once justice has been served, we can now heal up the damage dealt with love. Love is another tier 1 positive abnormality page with a +1 rate. After the user wins a clash using offensive dice, a random ally recovers 3 to 5 HP. After winning a clash using a defensive die, a random ally recovers 2 to 4 stagger resistance, can proc multiple times per turn, and can affect self. Well damn, a lot of survival, and it's both HP and stagger recovery, and it affects the whole group. This is the best survival tier 1 abnormality page by a long shot. It will always be going on your main clasher, so they can start spreading the love to everyone. Even though it's great in groups, it can also be used solo. With the user being the only target, they will rack in all of the benefits, making this superior to the haulers. However, when there is love, there must also be hate. Hate is a breakdown page with a -1 rate of obtaining. After losing a clash, take 2 to 4 stagger damage and gain 1 strength next scene, maximum of 2. After losing 3 clashes in a single scene, reduce the damage cost of the most expensive page in hand by 1. This effect only activates once per scene, and it's a permanent reduction. Oh, and before I forget, the stagger damage can proc multiple times per turn. Yeah, this is rather bad on its own. Hate is more likely to stagger you than help you, because you're taking an additional 6 to 12 damage. The strength is nice and all, but being unable to act is a massive waste of it. Though, you can abuse lead block dice or evade dice to lose and use Mind Hauler to fight against the effects. The cost reduction is very strong since you can play with a free deck, but it has too many conditions to fulfill and is very slow. Unless you're the wizard, R5, and are soloing Tiff's Realization, you're not taking it. After that questionable page, let's move on to her sister, the Knight of Despair. She loves pierce attacks, resistances, and sacrificing allies to strengthen her team. Let's start off with the armor that she can provide with Blessing. Blessing is a tier 1 breakdown page with a -1 rate. If the user took damage from attacks the previous scene, change the user's resistances against the type that dealt the most damage to endured for the scene. This applies separately for physical and stagger damage. If the user didn't take any damage, this effect doesn't activate. What a nice callback to Lobotomy Corporation. Thank you, 50% damage reduction, which is translated over by reducing one damage type by 50%. When the effect is activated, it will not override your key page's starting resistances, essentially making the user a pseudo red mist with changing resistances now. Very strong early on in reception, and helps to set up going solo or you want to use hate. Though, why use hate when you could have despair? Another tier 1 breakdown page with a -2 rate. All allies get this abnormality page, and whenever an ally dies, all other allies gain 1 to 3 strength and haste, and all enemies are inflicted with 2 fragile next scene. This effect can proc multiple times. Tiphereth's premier going solo page, allowing you the time you need to get your raid boss unit up and running. For the raid boss, the buffs help them to win their clashes and choose the enemies they want to fight in order to maintain their HP and stagger. While for everyone else, the strength is nice, but the real benefit is the haste. Now, these sacrifices can do their best "Get down, Mr. President" impression and redirect attacks targeting the carry or other allies, dying nobly to protect their friends. This in turn will proc despair again, which is part of the whole strategy. Each turn you want to have an ally die each scene. No more than 1. This is important because we are trying to farm emotion levels, and the explanation is on screen. Each death will provide 3 negative emotion coins to the survivors, allowing them to level up quickly and get more abnormality pages to become even stronger. After one goes down, the next one will line up to take their place in saving the raid boss until they become fully powered. You're doing the great smash that E.G.O.S suffered, you heartless monster. Oh, and the fragile is nice for cleaning up weaker enemies. Always follow the 1 sacrifice per person rule, you'll thank me later. Unless you're speedrunning the game and need everyone dead by turn 2. Now it's time for a gimmick page. Blades Wetted by Teardrops. It's a tier 1 positive abnormality page with a +2 rate. Upon a successful pierce attack, if the die rolled max value, deal bonus damage equal to 10% of target's max HP. Maximum damage 12, excludes mass attacks. Looks amazing until that parentheses says, oh yeah, 12 additional damage. Woo! Heavily skip this one unless you want to have fun with the sweeper trash disposal and gamble, or make it consistent for 3 turns, then it's back to gambling. With a knight and queen at our side, there has to be a king of greed. I guess queen, cause female. Never mind, it's too confusing. Anywho, the king brings healing, damage, dice destruction, and endurance to the table. Starting off with her simplest abnormality page, Road to Happiness. A tier 2 positive abnormality page with a +1 rate. The user gains 1 endurance for each clash 1 in a scene up to 3 times. The easiest 3 endurance in the game. Good for block focus characters, or even better, the nugget using love. By using a lead evade die, they will recover stagger and give stagger recovery to the team. A simple effect, but a very powerful one. Well, it's stronger than our next page, Intemperance. Another positive tier 2 abnormality page with a +2 rate. If the first die of a combat page wins a clash, destroy all remaining dice the opponent has at a 25% chance. It was this close to being good until the 25% chance ruined it. Chesed even has a better one than this. This makes it unreliable to be used against enemy combat pages. However, it does have a use. What it is good for is destroying enemy counter dice spam. So basically any boss battle. To understand why, we must first explain counter dice. All counter dice are put into the same lineup to be used, resulting in a massive combat page that we can pop with 1 attack. If it misses, don't worry, you still have more combat pages to proc that effect. There is a secondary downside to this. if it does work, you will be losing out on a lot of emotion coins, which is the fuel for your ego pages and abnormality pages. So it is a give and take. There is also the funny interaction with Burning Slash. Since the page adds the die to the other page, it will proc the effect twice, allowing closer to a 50% chance of happening. Overall, if you want to gamble, give Intemperance a whirl. If you do want an abnormality page that works 100% of the time, you'll take Greed. Cause Greed is good. Greed is right. Greed works. A tier 2 breakdown page with a -1 rate. In a clash, if the winner's dice roll is greater than the loser's by 4 or higher, the loser takes 3 to 7 bonus damage and the winner recovers 2 to 5 HP. Both the librarian and their opponent can activate this effect. Even more recovery for a single user. It's a better health hauler that procs on any type of dice and heals more. Always put this page on your main clasher, since that nugget should always be clearing that 4 difference or higher threshold. The only time it'll ever backfire is if the enemy uses a strong singular attack, but hey, that's what block dice and allies are for. Always take Greed, regardless of what you are doing. With our noble king, there has to be a powerful servant to support. Enter the Servant of Wrath. Wrath offers Econ, Strength, Recovery, and the unique Erosion status infliction. Let's start off with that ailment and Tiphereth's first, tier 3 abnormality, Acidic Sludge. I know it says all enemies, but you put it on one of your librarians. Inflict 5 erosion to all enemies currently on the battlefield. Enemies with erosion also get bind, equal to the amount of erosion they currently have. For those of you that don't know, erosion is an infliction. At the end of the scene, take damage equal to the count and lose 1 stack. When hit, take damage and stagger damage equal to the count. Tiffs, I want the fight to be over now! Dealing 5 additional damage and stagger damage with over 20 different attacks will defeat anyone in a matter of seconds. You can probably defeat them before they can even act, thanks to the bind. The only problem with this page is in multiple act or future opponents where the upfront 5 erosion will not be applied to them. Thankfully, if the user with Acidic Sludge is still alive, the bind effect will carry over. Since we only have one key page that has access to it, here is Yawn, your new speed debuffer. Okay, we do have another way of applying it, but it's garbage. His main 2 ways of inflicting it are through Baleful Brand and Distorted Blade, both of which only inflict 2. Isn't a whole lot, but every little bit helps. Still, the main usage is the upfront 5 erosion to end a fight crazy quick. Now with her tier 3 out of the way, let's see why having companions is so important. Companions is a tier 2 positive abnormality page with a neutral rate. When there is no companions present, the first enemy the selected librarian hits is marked as one. When this abnormality holder defeats the companion, all allies restore 3 light and 10 HP and stagger resistance. Its request Selfless Big Sister, probably also the best group survival card in the whole game with the most annoying sound effect. In order to maximize it, one of your nuggets, preferably not your main clasher, will be on cleanup duty. The nugget's turn will look like this. Their first attack will be inflicting the mark onto the enemy, but not killing them. The mark needs to be applied first. From there, any future attacks from the user will now trigger the mark, so go on in for the kill. Personally, I'll have the user focusing down 1 unit at a time to make sure the effect gets off, allowing your other units to reap in all of the benefits. For the light restore, same rule applies to how it is done normally. Video will be up here explaining how light works in case you need examples. Overall, Companions is a very strong card. As long as your guy is not hitting the boss first, you will be able to proc this effect multiple times per turn. Though why have companions if they are going to betray you? It's far better for the enemies and allies to feel your wrath. Wrath is a tier 2 breakdown page with a -1 rate. The selected librarian enters a state of wrath. The librarian will become uncontrollable and target random characters including allies. To compensate, the librarian gains 2 strength, restores 2 light, and draws 2 more pages at the start of each scene. Tiphereth Smash! All good economic gains for 1 abnormality page is bonkers. However, losing control will cause serious problems and may destroy the user. You're only going to be in this phase for 1 scene, hopefully, because we're going to get rid of that massive downside shortly. When all 4 magical girls are together, the big bad Jester of Nihil arrives. With him or her bringing the final piece of Tifsodia, Nyx. A tier 3 page with the effect. This page is only effective if the librarian possesses all of the following abnormality pages: Greed, Hate, Despair, and Wrath. Unlocking its true power. At the start of the scene, inflict 5 feeble, disarm, and bind to all other characters, including allies. Greed, Hate, and Wrath lose their drawbacks. All the sacrifices you made, all the allies you lost, was for this 1 card. The floor has a reason for existing now, according to the fanbase, but this is the most obvious strategy Tiphereth has. As soon as those debuffs get on the enemies, the reception is over. Since people have trouble getting to this point, let me explain the sequencing for it. Your first unit that has to die is a base librarian with Eugen's Extreme Fatigue passive. He will use Wrath of Torment on the first turn to die horribly. This way, you will always get Despair to show up in the first abnormality selection. From there, we will be sacrificing 1 person at a time that isn't the main boss unit. Whoever gets targeted the most is the prime candidate. They will redirect other attacks and tank all the damage. We get Hate next, cause it deals self-stagger damage, and we don't want our raid boss to stagger. Then we pick up Greed for HP recovery, and finally Wrath, due to the uncontrollable nature of it. There is a way to bypass Wrath, and that's by keeping the raid boss at emotion level 4 and the sacrifice at emotion level 3. What we're doing is getting the level up to 5 for the raid boss and sack off the final ally without picking up the card. This way, the raid boss doesn't need to suffer the downsides of Wrath and gets to Nyx. After this, the battlefield is your oyster. As strong as this combo is, it does suffer in multiple act receptions. The first turn of each new act, the debuffs will not apply until the following scene, putting Tiphereth in a vulnerable position to be killed or more likely staggered if too much damage is taken. This can be mitigated somewhat when we go over her ego pages, but this is the only downside. Unless you have a problem sacrificing people for the greater good. In case of that one small problem, there's another way to get a boss unit, and this page is Void. Another tier 3 page that adds Void to the hand. Void is a 3 cost page with a 1 to 10 evade die. It comes with combat start. Exhaust all pages from hand. Each scene after this one gains strength and endurance equal to the number of pages exhausted this way. Tiphereth's other Unga Bunga card. This will usually be worth around 4 to 5 power increase if you still want a deck to play with, turning anyone into a one-man army at the cost of variety. Be sure to have a draw card remaining in order to play 4 combat pages each turn. However, it's far better to not have any draw cards in your deck and only Light Restore, because a certain upcoming E.G.O. card pairs very well with Void. In case you do want a massive deck to play with, but still want a massive power boost, there is another option, temporary cards. These are combat cards or passives that generate more cards. Overall, Void is a very powerful card and requires a bit of setup to take full advantage of it, possibly being the best of Tiff's tier 3s. Do keep in mind, all 3 of Tiff's tier 3s are very strong and does not have a clear standout winner. Now, it's time for the second worst abnormality page in the game, Magical Girls. Before you ask, I really hate this card for the tier it is in. It's a tier 2 breakdown page with a -2 rate. At the start of the scene, the highest cost combat page in hand, lower than 4, is marked. After losing 4 clashes with the marked page, gain 5 protection each scene and become immune to status ailments for the rest of the reception. Also, when hit, inflict 1 erosion and fragile next scene to the attacker, procs twice per scene. So, when you take this hard to get page, you get nothing. Nothing. If you die before then, you have a wasted abnormality page. Then, it has the audacity to ask you to lose 4 clashes, and isn't each clash lost will stack it by 1. It's each page needs to lose 1 clash. So it takes 4 turns and then the 5th turn to activate. Jesus fuck! That is way too much time to spend for a tier 2. If it was a tier 1, then it would make more sense. But no! They nerfed an abnormality card that gave Cannon Fire to Void. And now it's gone. Anywho, if you want to take this horrible page, stack a lot of protection and stagger resistance to proc the effect, include Blessing as well, and then use Void to actually have good pages and then win. It's fun to do occasionally, but that is it. Never, and I mean never, take this page. With Tiphereth's floor now realized, it's time for the best part of her floor. Her E.G.O.S. She has the most mass attacks in the game, minus this one, the Sword Sharpened with Tears. A 4-cost ranged E.G.O. page with a 6-10 and a 10-18 pierce dice, with on hit, seal a speed die next scene. Good rolling dice that's pierce boosted and locks down a user so they can be mass attack next scene. Is overall a good card, and since it's ranged, it can be used to stagger an enemy before they can even move. Just don't clash into strong singular attacks. Now with the odd one out, let's go over her mass attacks individual. Starting off with the other memeable image, Gold Rush. A 5-cost E.G.O. page with a 5-15 blunt die, and on hit, restore 1 light and gain 1 strength next scene. Well damn, a page that refunds its cost while giving strength. Sign me up for that. As long as the attack lands, you will get 1 strength per hit, so at maximum, it's 5 light restore and 5 strength. With it, it can combo into her Wham Wham card, Blind Rage. A 4-cost mass attack individual that targets all characters and has 3 9-15 blunt dice. Some say it's the best mass attack, others the worst, in a tier list. If you're going solo, always take it. If not, don't take it. There, problem solved. It also benefits massively from blunt focused characters, cause hot damn, 3 blunt dice. All this blunt focus also helps with her first summation mass attack, In the Name of Love and Hate. A 5-cost mass attack summation with a 22 to 33 blunt roll. Also, fire a big laser beam. Death Star at your fingertips. It's above 20 for a summation mass attack, so it will obliterate any combat pages in its way. And finally, we have the creme de la creme. Tiphereth's best E.G.O. page, and the best or second best in the game, Nihil. A 3-cost mass attack summation with a puny 6-16 slash die. Yup, troll E.G.O. page, if you have a card in hand. If the hand is empty, on use, inflict 4 dice power down, bind, and paralysis to all enemies this scene and next. Anyone that is bad at deck building should definitely take this E.G.O. Jokes aside, this is the most debuffs you can inflict onto all enemies, making them roll -7 and can be redirected all day, which also activates before the summation attack to make them roll under the summation. To get the most out of this page, Run someone with 0 draw cards or as a combo card with Void and make it a 4-card deck with 0 draw in order to keep spamming the unused effect. For some of you, that isn't enough. You want to inflict even more debuffs. There is this great key page called the Purple Tier Pierce Stance. If she uses Nihil, she will double the debuffs, now making them take -11. Outside of singular attacks, nothing will stop this page from inflicting true despair. Here are the builds. We have the Unoke group build, the Route of Extreme Suffering, Nihilism, Funny Sweeper Sword combo build, Tiphereth, Unlimited Power Void, and finally, doing magical girls to troll people. After this long video, you finally know how to play Tiphereth, and now know what the expectations for the meaning of existence finally are. If you enjoyed this content and made you a better player, smash that like and subscribe button. I'm Foxy Solo, and hope to see you in the next one.